2. Hello, this is Marsha Lecour, host of Listen Up Man, and today I have a very special guest, Mike Pickett, who is in the house, and Mike is going to talk to us about the work that he does. So Mike, let's jump right in. So why don't you tell us about the work that you do? I know you're on a mission, so tell us about your mission.
Well, I own my own company called the Hero Mission, and what we do at the Hero Mission is we help people recognize and activate their superpowers. We turn people into superheroes. We help them put on their capes, as it were. That's our company slogan, is putting capes in the sky. Sorry about that. And what we truly believe that everybody's capable of more in their life, so we just show you how you can do that. And we show it at every level. I'm currently working with a few gyms on a new youth program that we're going to be rolling out to some martial arts clubs and possibly working with some schools. And we do adults programs because I don't think there's an age that you can't be a superhero. So.
Now, would you say, Mike, at this point that you are fully aligned with your passion and purpose?
Yeah. It's an amazing. I love speaking about what I do and who I am, and it always makes people chuckle when I walk into a room and they're like, "Hey, tell us about yourself." And I'm like, "I'm a superhero." And they like laugh a bit. And then I tell them my beliefs and where I stand on it. And then they kind of get it. So it's, I do love doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Now, can you tell us who your favorite superhero happens to be?
Oh, that's easy. That's an easy one. That has been the same. My favorite superhero has been my favorite superhero since I was born, and that's my dad.
Oh, nice. So your dad has a very prominent place in your heart.
Yes, he does. He taught me that superheroes do exist.
Oh, okay. And why would you say your dad is your favorite superhero?
Just for a lot of life lessons he's taught me, and I don't know if we have time to get into it, but there's a story that really shaped it for me when I was a child, and I saw him go to the aid of someone in trouble, and every time I think back about that moment, it's obvious to me he was wearing a cape at the time. So he's always been a shining example of just put yourself out there and do the best you can and work hard at yourself, and everything else will fall into place.
Well, would you want to take a minute or two just to sort of give a brief synopsis of that story with your dad?
Okay. So I was at the Santa Claus parade with my two younger sisters. We were at the Toronto Santa Claus parade. I'm going to say I was about anywhere from 6 to 8 years old at the time. And the floats are going by, and we're a little ways back from the front, but not too far. And the floats are going by, and everybody's waving, and they're throwing out candy canes. The whole, what Santa Claus parade is. And then there's this one float that goes by, and the back of it's really high. And there's a young man, and he's turning, and he's waving to everybody as he goes by. And they're going through the intersection we're at, and he's turned probably this way, waving to everybody. And as they're coming into the intersection, he doesn't notice the streetcar cables that are in front of him. And a streetcar cable catches him like right about here. And he was maybe 20 feet up, and it threw them right off the back of this float and onto the ground. And everyone was just, and I felt this hand on my shoulder. And I looked up, and my dad was leaping over top of me. And to this day, I believe he flew. But he was the first. While everybody else was, it was instinct. It was just go be with this young man, help him, do what you've got to do. So he was the first one there to help. And my dad's a firefighter and all that. But yeah, it's sort of instilled in me this whole look up in the sky.
So your dad was trained as a quick responder, and that's what he did. He responded quickly to this particular situation.
Well, I think in life, if you look at what it teaches us, a few things. First of all, sometimes it's a lot of times in life we sit back and talk and don't participate. or we give opinions, or we're like, oh, what do we do? And sometimes you already know what to do. Your stomach, your heart, your spirit, your soul, whatever you want to call it, your brain, it's telling you what to do. And sometimes you just got to listen and go with that.
So kudos to your dad.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I kept that story with me probably. I told that story at a big, huge family function the first time when I was about 35, and I carried that story with me all this time, and he had no idea. So, yeah.
Wow. So tell us, what got you into this type of work, the work that you're currently involved with?
Well, I've trained in several martial arts. My favorite passion, my favorite martial arts being a combination of Tai Chi and Kung Fu. It's a very spiritual. It's the oldest martial art, and I find it ties me in very spiritually. It helps me keep focused and centered. And I guess just from running in those circles of those people who were all about enlightenment. Sometimes you go into a martial arts club and it's all about punching and hitting and kicking, and they teach you the physical aspect, but there's not much spiritual backup. Where with the Kung Fu and the Tai Chi, I found a very spiritual on top of the physical, and it connects with your mental and it connects everything together. And I started running, like I trained with a couple times with Shaolin monks. I've also trained with, and I love name dropping here, but a good friend of mine and one of my mentors, Aaron Huey. I ran into him in my travels in martial arts, and just these people who are doing something different and not holding back and attaining a different mindset and things like that. And it just took me, and I was like, this is the kind of stuff I should be doing, like making the world a better place, helping people, just putting my cape on and getting into orbit and seeing where I'm needed. So
tell us specifically, how does the work that you do, how do you actually bring it to manifestation in a concrete way? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, it's a very simple concept, because if I was to tell you about my darkest, worst day and what that was like compared to today, it's almost like I have superpowers. Like it's almost, I truly believe that we've all got our own world, and your world may be your parents, your spouse, your employees, your kids, your animals, your pets, what have you. And in that world, if you optimize yourself and perform at the highest level you can, that whole world is helped by it. Right? It's the you can't pour from an empty cup. And obviously, if we, it blows my mind to think of what a world we would all live in if everyone was performing mentally, physically, spiritually at their best.
It would be a wonderful world.
Yeah. So what I do is I basically sit down and sort of say, okay, so where would you need to go to make yourself better? Because some people walk through the door are in better shape than I am, and some physically, and some are in worse shape than I am physically, right? So, but maybe they're in crazy good physical shape, but they've never looked after their spiritual side or their mental side. So we just take a look at what we can do to fine tune those things, to bring that all together. So as you know, and you've probably learned in your days, that when all those sides are functioning together, you become a whole different person.
It's so true. And so where would you take your mission specifically? Like what kind of groups would you work, or what kind of institutions or organizations or what have you?
Well, I've developed a great youth program, and we're further working on it. We're going to take it into martial arts schools. We've got a couple that we're going to go into just to, try dry run it kind of thing. Some schools have shown a lot of interest, some churches and things like that. I don't think being a superhero, being a super version of yourself, to be that best version you can be possible, I don't think that's an age restriction. I don't think it's a sex restriction. It's not there's no restrictions to it. At any point in your life, no matter who, simple methods that have.
Okay, Mike, you're frozen. Okay, let's see. I hope you unfreeze. Okay, Mike, I'm just going to make a note here. Mike, you're frozen. Okay, we're going to give it another 10 seconds to see if Mike unfreezes. If he doesn't, we will end the broadcast. So Mike has disappeared. I'm going to see if I can get him back in here, and we will not close off this broadcast. So I'm just sending him a text message. And I'm going to say jump back on using the link. Okay, let's see what we get. So I've just texted him a message, and we're going to see if he responds. Otherwise, we will close this down. I don't want to close it down, though, until I give Mike a chance to see if he's going to respond. Let me see if he's posted anything in Facebook. No. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to call this a day, and we will reschedule the link with Mike at a later date. All right, thank you for joining me here today. This is Marsha Lecour with Listen Up Men. Today we had special guest Mike Pickett with his mission to empower people to become better people.